suppose as usual, my, face was showing during that, right? I always mean to hide that. Hi, everybody. This is live in case you couldn't tell. But yeah, hi. Welcome to Lead with LeAnn, your definitive guide for exceptional leadership. Exceptional, just saying. And successful entrepreneurship, airing every week at 2 p.m. Pacific time exclusively on winwinwomen.tv. I am your host, LeAnn, and I am thrilled to be sharing this journey with you. Each week on Lead with LeAnn, you'll join me as we delve into the inspiring stories of established leaders and innovative entrepreneurs like today. We'll uncover just what it takes to build a brand from scratch, lead from authority and grace, and turn business aspirations into tangible success. Lead with LeAnn is not only about imparting knowledge, it's about creating a space to laugh, learn, and leap forward together in our quest for professional and personal growth. Whether you're embarking on a new entrepreneurial venture or looking to inject some fresh energy into an existing one, there will always be insights for you. So get ready for thought-provoking conversation. I'm really excited about this one today. Enlightening insights, actionable advice, and the support of a network that champions the win-win philosophy. Learn to lead with passion, purpose, and determination right here on Lead with LeAnn. And it looks like my video is slow. Yay! I love that. So today you get to meet Kari Ainsworth, a master creatix, an internationally best-selling author with a vibrant spirit that shines through her 3 decades in the self-help arena. Kari is a true artisan, crafting not just soaps and candles, yay, but a sensory-rich journey into self-care. Her podcasts are more than items. Excuse me, her products are more than items. Ha! They're invitations to explore and understand oneself on a deeper level. As a luminary in self-discovery, Kari integrates healing energy into her work, advocating for the power within us to shape our destinies. Her mission is to empower individuals to embark on their own transformative journey inward, where true change takes root. With every candle lit and every word penned, Kari guides others towards self-empowerment. So step into Kari Ainsworth's world, where creativity sparks personal evolution and every creation is a step towards self-discovery. Welcome, Kari. Are you there?
I am. Hi,
Yes.
LeAnn.
Yay, it's so good to see you again.
You too.
Look at your beautiful background.
Thank you.
What do you have back there?
Well, let's see, right above me, I
Mhm.
have my mom, who actually started Moonbeams Unlimited with me back in the 90s, and then some of her artwork, her book, the book I was in recently back in November, that's an international best-selling book in 3 countries.
What's the name?
And then I've got some energy things happening over there, some crystals and fun things with the moon. So, yeah.
Oh, beautiful. And what's the name of your book?
Stepping into Gratitude. It's a compilation book about spreading seeds of gratitude around, and it was a wonderful project to be part of.
Oh, wonderful. And that's your first book?
That is, yes, that is my first book. I'm in the process of writing my second book.
Yay.
Yeah.
And you've had quite a journey to get here. So you grew up, went to high school and you decided this is what you're going to do for your life, right?
Oh yeah, that sounds so simple, but yes, no. I've done many things. I like to say I'm multi-passionate. I came from 2 parents who were both entrepreneurs, and I've kind of continued that entrepreneurial journey. So I didn't actually start. I mean, I've kind of been in this whole energy world for probably my entire life. But I didn't become like a massage therapist and a Reiki healer until about 2004. And that was after my mom and I had started Moonbeams back in the 90s. So So it's kind of ebbed and flowed to
Yeah. So
get
there's
here.
so much that you just said. So much. First of all, congratulations on being an entrepreneur, child of entrepreneurs. How common do you think that is?
Maybe more so in this day and age than back then. And I say that because back when I was growing up, most people, like, you graduated school, you went to work for corporate or the government, and you were supposed to stay there for 30 years until you retired and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
Um, so I think maybe it's more common now than it was back then.
Yeah. The reason I asked is because I'm the daughter of two people who absolutely did not want to be entrepreneurs and weren't. But their parents were farmers and storekeepers. I mean, by nature, that's entrepreneurial. It's
Yes,
risky. You don't know, you rise and fall based on economy and other things. I mean, so
right,
that's understandably, my parents were more like, give me a job, give me a paycheck, right? And then
right,
there's me and my sister, and both of us are like, no, we need to, we need to be the fullness of who we are and all our gifts and, do all the stuff, which both of us kind of were, no, you don't necessarily get to do in a workplace where you have standards and expectations and reports and so forth. And
right.
so, guess what? My daughter's really happy to get a paycheck. So the generations have shifted a little bit back and forth in our case.
Right.
And so it's fun to meet somebody who didn't do that. Yay.
Yeah, nice.
But then you also said Moonbeams got a start in, now give a short description of Moonbeams.
So Moonbeams Unlimited is where I work my herbal magic, my energy healing into soaps, candles, lotions, and potions, I like to say. So I make natural, thoughtfully crafted gifts,
Mm-hmm.
and self-care tools, right? I'm a big proponent of self-care. I believe that self-care isn't selfish and that we need to do a lot more of it. I came from caring for my grandparents when they lived with us, caring for my great aunt, caring for my dad. My dad developed cancer and died when I was 16. So I was helping to take care of him. And then later on, taking care of my mom before she passed. And that is carried over to my husband, who actually lost his hearing completely, went completely deaf for 11 months back in 2011. And we had to completely relearn how to communicate. And then more recently, he's been diagnosed with Parkinson's.
Mm.
So I'm seeing down the road what I'm going to need to be doing.
Wow.
So I think I was born to be a caregiver, and learning the different dynamics of it and making sure that I'm my best self in order to care for.
Yeah.
So that's where, you know, all of this comes into play. And I know a lot of people can't go to spas, and especially when you're caregiving, you are kind of like, you need to be staying put.
Right.
But this way you can bring a little bit of that into your own world, to care for yourself. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you do what you do,
Yeah.
essentially. Yeah.
Yes. I use what I make. I kind of practice what I preach to the best of my ability. I'm not perfect. So
Okay. Well, we were both in business back in the 90s to some degree. I was less so. At the time, I was a teacher actually in the late 90s, but eventually went into an alternative wellness business as yours is essentially. Things were different back then.
yeah, and actually, I was working for the government back then, and then I would come home and stir the soap that my mom and I were making.
Uh,
So it was a combination thing. Yes.
Sure. Well, my mother-in-law started the company and she would be out there selling the products. Her warehouse initially was the closet in our spare bedroom. And I would come home from teaching and I would pick her orders and bring them to the school with me the next day where UPS would pick them up.
Oh, fun.
And so, that was so we both had that in common. We came home from our jobs and we went to work for, and then eventually that's the company that we purchased and bought and ran ourselves. But yeah,
Yeah.
fun. But
Yeah.
when back in the 90s, though, I mean, vitamins were just expensive pee. And how were soaps and lotions and potions considered?
I think they were considered more of like a nicety.
Hmm.
It wasn't, um, it was something that you might get at a market, like at a farmer's market or at a specialty store to have those handcrafted soaps. So it was a specialty thing, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it certainly didn't have the negative connotation, really, that vitamins and some of the other, people would joke with us about our tin hats.
Right.
Um, not quite like that. But certainly I think things have taken a swing more towards being receptive and even understanding the importance of what you're doing now, wouldn't you say?
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
When and how did you notice that shift?
Well, it's interesting because before, back in like 2004, when I was going through school for massage therapy, and I got my Reiki certification. And then we moved to Delaware, and people did not understand what that word was. They didn't know what Reiki was. They didn't know it was a form of energy healing. And they would come to me for massage and I would try and they'd be like, what is that? And I would try to explain it. And they'd be like, no, I just want you to work on my muscles.
Yeah,
Just give me a massage. And so I think now it is much more, people have really opened up to what that energy healing is, and they're much more receptive to it.
very cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
So it sounds like in general, you've had a really positive experience with entrepreneurship.
I have actually. I mean, I think I think there's always some negative things that come up, but that can be in regular corporate government work as well. So I've experienced a little bit of both.
Hmm.
But I'd have to say that I've experienced more good than I have negative.
Oh, that's good. So in 2004, is that when you left working government type work and went more into your working for yourself?
Yes, in 2005, I actually left my government job,
Okay.
much to the surprise and amazement of everybody where I worked.
Mm.
They were quite shocked when I turned in my 52. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
why?
Why? I'd been there for 9.5 years.
Yeah.
Again, you stick with your government, your safe, secure,
Yeah.
benefit job. And I think they just didn't think that I was going to run with being a massage therapist. Unfortunately, I'm not a massage therapist anymore. I've totally gone into the Reiki healing. Um, but yeah, they just were all super shocked that I was leaving the
Yeah.
security of the government job. Yeah.
Any regrets?
No regrets, just resets, right?
Just recess?
No resets, like resetting things.
Yep.
Yeah,
Resetting.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, joke, but my dad and mom, when I was growing up, they're like, well, you be an airplane pilot. And then eventually my dad said, well, you could be a air traffic controller, which is a government position. And when I did actually briefly look into it. And then I called my dad and I said, so I thought you liked me.
It is a super high stress
Super high
job.
stress, really, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
great pay, and that's what he was thinking, great pay, government job, you get quite a bit of time off because you need it. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I don't think it's far too detail oriented for my brain. When I learned my strengths finders, I was like, yeah, that makes total sense. That wouldn't have worked for me.
Right.
But just while we were getting ready for the show today, you dropped something on, you said you found your strengths finders. So I
I,
told you not to tell me,
yep.
but now you can.
Oh, now I can. Okay. So yes, I had taken the Strength Finders back in 2018 when I was applying to be a managing director for a company. And, I've done these different um, leadership type tests in the past, but this one I actually went back and found. So my top five were positivity, connectedness, relator, futuristic, and strategic.
We have two,
Okay. The positivity and connectedness.
positivity and strategic.
Oh,
Strategic is
strategic.
my number one, and
Okay.
positivity is my number five.
Okay. All right. So we're flipped.
So,
All
yeah, you flipped. But I mean, any in your top five are fairly interactive with each other. So, yeah, mine are strategic, achiever, intellection, belief, and positivity.
right. Okay.
And my
Nice.
daughter has futuristic. She has a really unique combination. She has both futuristic and one that is about being able to see and the past and how it relates to the present. You can
Okay.
also see the present and how it can go into the future. So it's a really, really fascinating combination that I've
Yeah.
seen her utilize that strength in different ways. So yeah,
Nice.
very cool. I think they're fascinating. What did you do? You remember realizing something or when you learned your strengths?
Um, well, actually, when I just pulled this up
Yeah.
and looked at it, I was like, oh, well, this is really because the company that I was applying to be managing director for is a connection company. So I was like, oh, well, that makes sense. I thought the futuristic was funny, because I'm always looking, you know, to the future, goals and dreams and things like that. So, um, and I think I'm a very positive person. I probably drive my husband crazy because I'm, you know, like
I
too
know I can.
positive for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We tend to drive people crazy. They're like, it could not work out. And you're like,
Right.
no, we'll deal with that then. No worries.
Yeah. Yeah. He's very much a realist. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good. How did you meet?
We actually met at that government job. He was drug into my office during flu season. We were getting flu shots from the nurse. I was looking for guinea pigs since I was in school for massage therapy. And he spent the next 3 months um, encouraging me to go out with him. So, and actually, our first date was Valentine's Day 14 years or 20 years ago.
Oh,
Oh, yes. So 3 months was Valentine's, and I agreed to go out with him. Yeah.
I'm gonna age myself here. We just celebrated our 31st Valentine's Day together.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, we met Super Bowl Sunday,
Okay.
and through a City Page personal ad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
the newspaper. The newspaper back
Oh
before
my
it
gosh.
was invented.
I mean not online.
Yeah, not online. I mean, in
Online.
those years we had email addresses, maybe, um,
Right.
but AOL was.
Most of the times that
Yeah,
it was a phone number, right? It
yeah,
was, yeah.
yeah.
I
No, it
remember
was
those.
bonkers. Yeah, kind of fun, kind of crazy. Cool. So so you've been a solopreneur. I mean, since your mom's passing, especially, you've really been a solopreneur. Do you see that changing at any point?
Um, it could. I I haven't
Yes.
really seen anything else, but it could. I mean, I'm not one to say never.
Hmm.
If it happened, that might be kind of cool to collaborate with somebody.
So as an entrepreneur, how are you finding your clients? What are you doing to do that? I mean, it's a
Um,
specialty product.
right. So lots of networking.
Yeah.
I do in person and via Zoom events. And then I also have a website. Um, And I also do vendor events. So I actually go out and set up a table and put out the product and do it that way as well. Yeah.
I did a lot of vendor events 10 years ago. Yes, so many. And you're still
Yes.
doing them. There was a break, of course, during COVID where we weren't doing vendor events. And especially with high touch products like yours, that must have been a little different coming back into vendor events now.
Right. And I like having the combination of, an online presence and being able to do in-person high touch. I think that, wanting to be able to touch and smell and sense and then talk to people about, their self-care routines and things like that. I think that goes a lot further um, when I'm trying to relate that message to people.
Sure. My vendor table was it was organo coffee, so it was a type of mushroom coffee,
Oh,
and
nice.
which
Okay.
is really easy to get people to sample at an event, generally.
Right.
It's an evening event. You had those people who were like, I can't have caffeine this late. And I was like, well, it's really not a problem. It's not really going to affect you that same way. But it was fun. And then a lot of the times I was talking to the other vendors, I'm like, you could be sampling coffee and get more people to your table. And I had a couple take me up on it. And then they would set up kind of the two. They'd have the coffee on one part of the table and serve samples while
There you go.
doing whatever else that they had going. And of course, that was before a lot of network marketing companies who spend a lot of time at vendor events started having their own coffee. So,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
that's all changed these days. But your stuff is not a network marketing company. You are from the ground
No.
all your own.
Yes.
Where do
Yes.
you
I
draw your inspiration?
from my mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really feel like we're still working together.
Mm.
When for example, I just made soap the other day and I was really trying to pull and think about what it was that she would have been doing. And as a matter of fact, her birthday is this Thursday. So
Mm.
I blocked off more time to make soap that day. So, and to really sit in her energy and what it is, because she loved to play with the oils and the scents and mix things up and make lots of magic with different different essential oils, different fragrance oils. And it was so much fun to watch her. So yeah, I draw a lot of inspiration from her.
Aw, that's beautiful. You have siblings?
I do not. I'm an only child.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
just kind of curious when you have that great connection with her. I wondered if that was something that anybody else shared as well or not. And it's all good the way it goes.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's beautiful. Really touching. I'm blessed that my mother is still here with me
Oh,
is in
that's
the
nice.
physical world, although I'm not nearby. So
Mhm.
a little bit more of a challenge. It's all technology at this point.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah.
and I hope that you have some way of being able to, I would hope that Zoom is playing a
Oh yeah.
part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
Technology though. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Good.
good. But yeah, just feel blessed that they're here and that they're healthy and that but the other day for Valentine's Day I called them up and I said, "Yeah, how are my two favorite val of lovebirds?" And because I knew that they'd gone out or done something special, and they had. And I just said, I do want to make sure you know that I draw a lot on what I witnessed with you two, to know how to be, married as long as we've now been married. And my
Right.
dad said, honey, that means a lot. Thank you for sharing that.
No,
And so let me know, while I have them here, I can still make sure they know how much I value all the that they've
that's
done.
awesome. And good for you for sharing that with them. And that's awesome.
Yeah. Are there things you wish you had shared more?
Oh, yes. Yes. I mean, there's probably a million questions I wish I'd asked. And a million things I wish I'd said or done. Um, and I'm not saying that as regretful,
Mhm.
but yes, hindsight is always 2020. And so yeah, keep at it with your parents and sharing that with them while they're here. So
It's not a fun place to put myself, but once in a while I will ask myself if this were the day, where would I be? Where would I feel? How would I feel about where I'm at with their not only their relationship, but all relationships.
right.
So
And I think it's important that when you're having these good days,
yeah.
right, that people, your family is healthy and they have everything together. That's when questions and talks need to happen. When instead of waiting until either tragedy or illness or whatever is starting to set in. If
Yeah.
you can get things in place ahead of time so that no one has to worry about stuff, advanced directives and attorneys and wills and things like that, that's super, super important.
Yeah, 100%. And there's some wonderful, wonderful resources out there for anybody who doesn't know that. I mean, whether it's getting the stories out of your parents that maybe, one, now they even have it where they get like one text a day and they can just reply to the text messages and it kind of compiles a,
A book,
a book.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just, it's really pretty cool how we can use technology now to
Mhm.
do that. Although sometimes I wonder, and now this is a little different, I think, but sometimes I wonder, so what? So what? We create the beautiful scrapbook or we create the amazing book. 100 years from now, who's reading it? Who
Right,
cares? Who's looking at the scrapbook?
right,
So there's that part of it too. Like maybe our world has gotten so attached to stuff and we'd be much better off releasing this stuff and not being so tied into needing to know every story, but just let's say live more in the present. Just
right.
be instead of living in the past or
Yes.
living with any sort of emotion that isn't joy in the moment.
And that's why they call it a gift, the
Mm.
present.
The present. Absolutely. 100%. So when you were little, what did you play? And
When I was little, what did I play? Well, I played, nurse and doctor. I actually thought I wanted to be a doctor when I was little. And um, being an only child, there weren't a whole lot of, kids. There were some kids in the neighborhood to play with, but not as many as I would have liked. Um, so had to use my imagination,
yeah.
playing with dolls and reading and playing making mud pies out in the yard. Yeah.
So your stuffed animals got a lot of shots.
Yes, yes,
Lots of shots and lots of band-aids.
that's right, that's right.
In other words, you were doing self-care or you were doing care for others then, and you've continued to do it the rest of your life.
Yes.
Wow. And
Yeah.
that's what I often find when I ask that question is that there's some tie back to when we were quite young to what
Mhm.
we're doing today. It may or may not be exactly a corollary. You were caring others. Now you're more caring for others by teaching them self-care, but very
Right.
in line. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oops, who's that behind? I just saw wander by.
Oh yeah, this is Caden. He's my fur baby. Um, he's being very good right now.
Yeah.
Um, as long as UPS doesn't come, then we'll be okay. He's 3 years old and he is a Czechoslovakian German Shepherd.
Wow.
Mm,
Okay. Wow.
yeah.
And three. So he's not a puppy, but he's not certainly not fully settled down yet, I wouldn't think.
No, he has not fully settled down yet. But he's very protective over me and my husband.
Oh,
So yes, to feel
very,
very safe and secure here.
they're very good about that. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah.
So people find you online,
Mhm.
obviously, as well. I mean, you do a lot of in-person to get them towards online. Have you embraced much of the online, the digital world, the social media, the AI?
I have. I do, of course, all the social media, not every platform. I focus on just a couple. I have worked with AI, and of course, I love working with coaches or people who are doing retreats so that they're getting thoughtfully handmade gifts for their participants. That's like really huge. I love being able to know that someone is receiving something that can transport them back to working with that coach or being at that retreat, and taking that candle home or that lotion bar home and having the scent. If the coach or consultant has picked rose or honeysuckle or whatever as their signature scent, then that participant is going to be transported back to working with that person, and that just makes me, that fills my heart and makes me very happy. So
So you
yeah.
really love when you're able to do kind of that larger order that's,
Mhm.
it's going to be dispersed by a
Right. And the
business.
collaboration, really finding out, well, what is it um, that coach, or, what is the message that they want to come through at the retreat, or and bringing that through. I have someone up near the beaches, and so I created a beach themed candle with an ocean scent. And yeah, and I even use sand from their location and incorporated that. So it's the creative part, being able to really style something and tailor it for them in their business.
So
Yeah.
what's Kari's scent?
I actually love, love, love honeysuckle,
Okay.
especially in the winter when I'm super cold and I can smell that waft. It just makes me think of summer and, walking through the park in June and um, that fresh scent just wafting through the air and under my nose. Yeah.
Uh, and
And
you said,
then
go ahead.
I'm sorry. Well, and my second one is probably lilac because that was my mom's favorite. And so, yeah, lilacs are huge.
So that's a question. My husband unfortunately suffers from the uh, um, pollens and stuff like that. I never have, but for all these decades, I've been watching him suffer. And I love lilac, but wow, talk about a pollen creator.
Yes.
And so even though like neighbors would have lilacs, I'd be like, we should get lilac trees. He's like, do you hate me? Like, no. So of course we haven't had lilacs. I go sniff
Oh.
neighbors' lilacs like some creepy person. But um, when you make it into a bar, you mentioned a lotion bar. I'm kind of curious about
Mhm.
that. Um, I mean, that doesn't affect people in the same way, right? Then
No,
it's
because the pollen's not there.
yeah.
So lotion bars, and see if you can actually
Yeah.
see that.
Oh,
Um,
pretty.
so it's not in a tube or container. So there's no extra water in it. It's just all the nutrients, all the oils and butters, and then you just rub it into your skin. So it's great for elbows and heels, dry, cracked skin in the winter. And it comes in you can keep it in a tin. It's also great for travel. So, you're not, it's TSA friendly, I guess is what I should say.
That,
You can keep it in your backpack, your purse, on your nightstand, things like that. So, yeah, they're
now you got
very,
me checking out my elbows.
yeah. And it just kind of, with the warmth of your hand, it just kind of melts into your skin.
Oh,
Yeah.
very fun. That sounds
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. They're awesome.
So where can people get a hold of these things, or if they want to talk to you about putting together a personalized scent, how does that?
Yes. Well, they can go to moonbeamsunlimited.com,
Mhm.
and they can go to the apothecary section of my website, and there is a link there to click to do a collaboration call and talk about what they might need, or they can just look through the apothecary and see items in the shop.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a little more cost effective to choose something that's already there than to
Right.
go from scratch, but very cool either way. So we're going to
Yeah.
wrap this up quickly, but before we do, I want to invite our live streaming audience. We are live. This is a live thing. If you want to, if you have questions for Kari, um, Kari, I did it. See, I was so good the whole time. Um, if you have questions, come on over. We're at winwinwomen.tv. We'd love to answer your questions. We're just going to be here. We have people in our audience right now that we can also answer your questions in just a minute. You're hidden from the camera right now, so no worries. Um, but we'd love to have you come over. So just go to winwinwomen.tv. Click on the green button to join the show live. You'll pop right into our Zoom that we are on. And then once we finish the recording, then we'll bring you live and you will not be on any future recording either, to make that clear for you. Meanwhile, yeah, we will end the recording, but we love answering questions. So I think both of us would welcome answering any questions that you have. My final question is, so you love honeysuckle.
Mhm.
And I think you're one of those people that kind of digs into meanings behind things. So tell me about honeysuckle and lilac.
Well, for me, they're just these spring, summer. I'm a warm weather person. I just love warm weather. And so honeysuckle, I don't know if you did this as a kid where you would pull the stamen out and get to drink the nectar.
Uh-huh.
And it just brings back so many wonderful childhood memories
Oh
for
yeah,
me.
for sure.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's more about the very personal, not the generic roses mean
Correct.
love or lilacs mean.
Right.
Okay. So
And
you
the lilac has a fun story about my mom and I um going marauding to collect lilacs.
marauding.
Marauding, yes.
What's
We
that?
would dress all in black and we would go down to a lilac bush and we would carefully prune it and return home with a few blossoms for vases. Yeah.
Marauding. I've not heard that word. So fun fact I'll share with you. When I lived in 7 places before I was 7 years old. My parents were such that, and I don't know how they did that, but literally they bought a house, they'd fix it up, they'd resell it. They were flippers.
Oh, okay.
So they
I was
flipped.
going to say gypsy or flipper, which
Yeah,
were
it was flipper. And but kind of not way before flipping was really what it turned into later, right? There's no TV shows about them.
right.
But they did build 2 houses in this small town, and then they moved down to the Twin Cities metro area where they did flip 2 more, I believe, and then built. Finally, they had accumulated what they needed to build their dream house. And they
Mm.
found this lot and they had to clear out like I think they said 50 or 70 trees in order to clear the space because it was so just tree locked in lot in order to clear the space to then do all that they did. So all the way. Hiring a few professionals as needed, but really my dad did the whole thing. But the very first time we went to go see the lot, my sister and I were probably 6 and 3, and dad's like, that's where we're gonna live. And I'm thinking, tent? But there were lilac bushes all the way across the front of this whole lot, really big lilac bushes, which is probably why I still love them. And my dad immediately went up and started to cut a couple for
Okay.
us. And the neighbor lady came running down. You get away from those, but I'm making sure that they're beautiful for the people who are gonna live here. And we're like, hi, nice to meet you.
That's us. Thank you.
And so it would, I was 6 and I remember this so well. And I know her name and she's passed since, but she was just the sweetest lady. Her dog bit me here. And yeah, it's just funny. All the things that come back when you bring up a particular flower, a particular plant or something like that. So anyone watching and saying, oh yeah, if you have a story about
I'm
a
sure.
flower, about a scent, about you might want to reach out to Kari. And see what that might be. See what you can do to maybe make that. And it could be an almond, I'm thinking. It could be a lot vanilla. I mean, there's other scents other than what we traditionally think of as flowers as well.
Right, right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Any final words, any things you want to share before we go? Oh, you had a gift, I think, as well.
Oh, yes. I created a guide. It's called Self-Care Isn't Selfish. And that you can find that on Moonbeams Unlimited, and then it's backslash self-care isn't selfish. Um, and I think I sent you the link as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that you could take more steps in order to ensure your own self-care so that you're better able to take care of those that you love.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's gorgeous. I just met with somebody else who she's putting together kind of a network for people that are in the caregiving world or the caregiving moments of their lifetimes. And I
Okay.
think that that's a beautiful thing because we all need to take care of that. But like you said, sometimes we need to do it, in place as
Yeah.
well. We can't just go out to the spa and all the things. So
Right.
Yep. I took care of my husband for 3 months, both of us sleeping on a couch because he couldn't get up the stairs from an injury. And it's a lot. It's a lot to go through that. So thank you for all that you're doing to help with that.
Oh,
You're a beautiful soul and you have a beautiful vision of what you're doing. And I'm so pleased for your success and I wish you continued success. It's been
thank
great
you.
having you here.
Thank you, LeAnn. It's been a pleasure.
Great. Well, we're going to say goodbye, but once again, come on over. WinWinWomen.tv. We'll be hanging out for a little bit longer. Otherwise, I'll be back next week, as always, at 2 p.m. Pacific time for the next episode of Lead with LeAnn. We look forward to seeing you then. And until then, be blessed.